What's up, YouTube? I hope all is well with you because things are fantastic with me. Today I'm going to be RuCapping RuPaul's Drag Race Season 7, Episode 5, titled Despy Awards. It's so weird that at the end of this episode I still don't know what a Despy Award stands for. If you guys know, please link down below. Yes. But anyway, this episode, it took a lot out of me. And I've been so upset about it that I haven't wanted to recap it. And luckily, I've been able to push it back, this recap, because I had pink eye for 2 days because I work with kids and I caught it from one of them. And I wasn't about to get on camera and scare you with my pink eye, so I waited, and it gave me time to marinate on the actions that happened in this particular episode. And I'm going to talk about my feelings throughout this recap, and I would love to hear what you are thinking down below, because I'm pretty sure that some of us are going to have conflicting opinions on the way that this episode went down. But first off, we start off with the queens coming into the workroom after Trixie's elimination. One thing that I noticed was that Jaden Fierce, I can never say her full name, so I'm just going to call her Jaden. Jaden came limping into the workroom. She was barely holding on. It was hilarious. And I feel bad for her because I know she is struggling as a big girl. I mean, I'm a big girl and I refuse to wear sandals unless it's an emergency. And there's never been an emergency, so I never wear high heels, so there you go. But I just thought it was hilarious seeing her limp into the workroom. But when it comes to the elimination, it seems like Pearl is just unbothered. She's upset that she was in the bottom 2. But she's just I guess people think that I'm too low energy. Pearl, just for me, she's a little too relaxed and slow paced, just for my liking. And I really wish she would have went home over Trixie. Even after this week, I really wish she would have went home over Trixie. And I do understand that some people have a difficult time showing their emotions and stuff, but I just feel there's a gratitude that needs to be behind your actions when you're in a position that hardly anyone gets to be in. Thousands upon thousands of queens try out for RuPaul's Drag Race every year, and you got picked, and this is how you're gonna act. I don't like it at all, at all. But she's here, and she's still here, so there's nothing I can do about it. But then we see that a group of girls that include Katya, Ginger Minj, and Mrs. Kasha Davis, they're talking about the elimination, and Katya's I gagged. As did I, Katya. I feel you on that. And so they were just talking about how they felt that Pearl should have gone home over Trixie, but that didn't happen. And then Mrs. Kasha Davis gets this really big read in. She's talking about how annoyed she is that Pearl is in this competition and not showing gratitude for being in this competition. And I agree with her. I agreed with everything she said. However, when I saw that she got that long soliloquy, I was like, oh, well, you go, girl. You're going home tonight. Because the fact that I don't think they've given her that much camera time in the confessional, ever. So I was when I saw that she got all that time to talk about Pearl, I was oh, she's going home today. And I was right when I thought that which sucks. But anyway, we get to the next day, and they come into the workroom. I thought it was hilarious because Miss Fame was throwing shade. First she was talking to Violet, saying, "Oh, you look like a Boy Scout. We gotta give you a pet name. We're gonna call you Scout." And then Ginger Minj, she pops up. She's like, "Well, what's gonna be my nickname?" And Miss Fame said, "Cardiac Arrest." Ugh, that was just so mean. Ugh. But then again, Miss Ginger Minj, she deserves it because she's always throwing shade, so she got a little taste of her medicine. But RuPaul comes in and informs them of the mini challenge. In the mini challenge, they are to make famous runway dresses out of tissue, not tissue, but paper. So they're going to use paper to make these dresses. And it was really shady the way she teamed up the groups. She was just like, oh, this line that you're in right now, that's how you guys are going to pair off. And she paired off Ginger Minge with Candy Ho. And they got Little Kim with the purple number and the titty out. Pearl and Max was next, and they have Cher, where she wore the big old black little headpiece to the Academy Awards, I think. Then there was Violet and Miss Fame, and they got J-Lo in the 2001 Grammys, where she wore that really low-cutting Versace dress that was green and blue. Then Jaden and Kennedy, they got Lady Gaga in the meat dress. Ew. And then Katya and Mrs. Kasha Davis, they got Bjork and the swan dress. Side note, and I know I shouldn't do side notes, but I'm going to do one anyway. Every time I think about Bjork, I think about freshman year of college, because I was in a dorm room and I had a roommate. She didn't like me too much. She was in a sorority, and I just remember every single weekend she would do shrooms. And every single night she would always play Bjork all night long so that she could go to sleep. And I remember at first I was like, oh, Bjork, that's cool. I got so sick of Bjork by the end of the semester. And I remember one time asking her to not have music on. She's like, well, the only reason why I play music in our room is because you have that clock on the wall and it's noisy and I can't go to sleep with it. I was like, are you kidding me? A clock versus the weird sounds of Bjork? Are you kidding me? Ugh. I'm so glad I survived that semester and I didn't have to be her roommate again. But every time I think of Bjork, I think about my freshman year roommate. Yes. But anyway, moving on. So they do their little paper dresses, and I think they do a pretty good job for paper dresses. When we see Ginger Minge dressed up as Little Kim, that one was special because it was a lot of tape and it was just awkward. And then, of course, RuPaul, he came by and did the little whoop whoop to Ginger Minge's tip. That was awkward. I think that was like the not best, actually the worst dress out of all of them. When we see Max's as Cher, Max's Cher that was special also. It's just, Max is so tall and angelic looking. And then to see him try to be Cher was really, really special. Then we had Violet and Miss Fame. We had Violet as J-Lo. Violet, she looked strange. She looked strange. And then RuPaul asked her to turn around. And he was like, you're not J-Lo, because clearly Violet has no booty because she's a skinny, skinny lady. So I thought that was funny. They were like, that is not J-Lo because she has no butt. Next was Jaden and Kennedy as Lady Gaga. It was okay. It was okay. But then again, that meat dress wasn't that great either, so it wasn't much to work with. Then finally it was Katya and Miss Kasha Davis, and I thought they did a fantastic job on this dress. Like, it had volume. It was great. Like, the skirt looked so pretty. That's one thing I really loved about that dress, was the skirt. It was really pretty, and it had an accurate swan. And then they added a little bit more to their performance by having Mrs. Kasha Davis act like Joan Rivers and saying, what are you wearing? And, reading and stuff. It was pretty funny. And then Katya as Bjork was hilarious. The noises she was making was dead on Bjork, which made me roll over with laughter. It was just, oh my gosh. That group was clearly the front runner winner. Like, they were the winners for sure. So, one thing that happened was Mrs. Kasha Davis, she got in a little read on Pearl. They were saying that Bjork had flew in from her homeland of Iceland and her arms were tired. And then what did Miss Kasha Davis say? She said something like, yes, her arms are tired, just like Pearl or something. And Pearl was just like, whatever, I don't care. But, you know, Mrs. Kasha Davis had to get her read in. But the mini challenge winner was clearly Mrs. Kasha Davis and Katya. They were the best, like, hands down. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, that's for sure. And so afterwards, RuPaul lets the girls know that their show was going to be, not their show, their challenge was going to be an award show in which they were going to present the nominations for a certain award, and they were going to present the award and, of course, do award show banter. And it went as such. Ginger Minj and Candy Ho, they were to present the shadiest queen. Pearl and Max, the most busted. Violet and Fame, meaty tuck. Jaden and Kennedy, sexy, sexy drag queen. And Katya and Mrs. Kasha Davis, since they won, they got to be the introduction of the whole entire award ceremony, which makes me think, like, it's not too much of a prize, it's more of a responsibility. So, I mean, I didn't get too much of a prize for the mini challenge. I don't think it was too much of a perk. But anyway, they all get into their groups and they start working on their jokes and stuff. Some people are ready to go, like Katya and Mrs. Kasha Davis. I think they seemed pretty confident because they're both comedy queens. While Mrs. Fame and Violet, I think they were a little bit more hesitant because they don't do comedy as often, and so they didn't know if they were going to do well. I was under the assumption that eventually the producers were going to step in and write the jokes for Violet and Miss Fame, and I would not be surprised if that happened. Apparently, with Trinity K. Bonet, producers had written her stuff for her comedy challenge, and I would have put it past them to do that for these ladies also. Just my opinion. But RuPaul comes into the workroom to, of course, observe all the queens. And then she comes up to Max and Pearl. And she said something, I can't remember how she said it, but she says, Max has a lot of personality and Pearl, you have none. So how are you going to rise up to Max or something like that? I felt that what Ru did was a little confrontational and a little uncalled for. That's just my personal opinion. I know he was doing it for the cameras and stuff, but I feel like he could have been a little bit more tactful in his delivery. Yeah, honestly, I do feel he could have been a little bit more tactful. Because usually when he is talking to the girls in a workroom, he alludes to what he's feeling without being too insulting. He's shady, but not outright disrespectful. And I felt like he was bordering disrespectful at this point, because I know he was trying to get a rise out of Pearl, because Pearl is just so sleepy. You just gotta wake her up. But he is an adult, and he should know how to talk to other adults. And I understand the concept is, yes, they're his children, but they're still adults, and they should be talked to as such. But at the same time, I felt like RuPaul was pushed to that point because Pearl acts like she doesn't want to be there, and he was just trying to get a rise out of her and wake her up. And clearly it worked, but I think that's the reason why RuPaul went to that brink. But at the same time, I feel like if someone does not act like they want to be there, they should be sent home. And that's why Pearl should have been sent home last week instead of given another chance, because Trixie, I think she would have taken the bull by the horn and really excelled in this competition, and she wouldn't have wasted any time being a sulky crybaby. And here we have Pearl just not giving a care for anything else but her ego. And yes, she says she wants to be here, she wants to win a competition, but I personally, I'm not seeing it. I don't know. I can't read her mind, so I don't know what she wants. But I just know that I can't see it. And because I can't see it, I don't want her to be there. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about that. Well, I will say this. That stare down between Pearl and RuPaul was intense. So intense. I was like, oh my God. And then when Pearl said, do I have something on my face? I was like, she went there. Oh my God. And then you could tell that RuPaul was not happy with the fact that Pearl was fighting back. But at the same time, I can't feel bad for RuPaul because he kept her in the competition. So if he wanted girls that were going to suck up to him, he should eliminate the ones that don't. So I don't feel bad for RuPaul. And I don't feel bad for Pearl because she does need to wake up. And so after they have the little stare down, Max is like, I feel so uncomfortable right now. And I was like, I agree with you, girl. Ooh, that was awkward. So, Pearl gets upset and walks out of the room, and I feel like with something like that happening, I would have walked out the room also and taken a break. Apparently it was a 2-hour break that was taken, and then, he comes back, and he gets back to work with, Miss Max, which I appreciate. And I appreciate the fact that Max was patient with Pearl. Because I'm thinking that if Pearl was matched up with any other contestant, they would not have tolerated that type of behavior, leaving the workroom for 2 hours, wasting time when they could be writing their material. Like, I think there would have been more of a hissy fit. But because he was paired up with Max, he was lucky that he had someone that is adaptable, that was going to work with him and was going to be patient with him. And he needs to thank his lucky stars that he was paired up with Max. Because Max is flawless and perfect at this point, and I love her and I hope she wins. Anyway, moving on. When they're getting ready for the Despy Awards, first they vote for who is going to win the 4 categories. Everyone's like, Violet's gonna win most shady. And I'm like, duh. Of course she's gonna win. And then when they're getting ready, there's this whole weird section of Fame just talking about chickens. And it was just a whole chicken segment. And I thought it was adorable, but at the same time, I felt like it was misplaced. I think it was there to make Miss Fame look more relatable, because we all know that Miss Fame is going to last a very long time in this competition, because that's the way they want it. And so, of course, they have to have segments in there to make her seem more relatable and goofy and all that jazz. And I have to admit, it was kind of cute. I loved when she made the little chicken noises with her throat, because when she was making them, she was mugging the camera. She was just like, it was so cute. But at the same time, I still don't see it for Miss Fame. I think she's beautiful and gorgeous. She's great, but I don't want her in the competition. So, there you go. Anyway, moving on. Gotta look at my other page of notes. So, when it comes to the actual main channel, I can't speak ever. Anyway, when it comes to the actual main challenge, I have to say, I really loved RuPaul's gold outfit. It was gorgeous. Like, it was just flawless. And she had the little, no, it wasn't little, the big old bow in her head. Like, she looked beautiful. And the special guest for this week was Isaac Mizrahi. And I like him as a guest. I think he's very outspoken and comfortable with critiquing. So I thought that he was a good addition to the panel this week. Okay, so when it comes to the Despy Awards, first was Mrs. Kasha Davis and Katya in the opening. Mrs. Kasha Davis had flubbed her lines, and then afterwards I felt like their delivery was good. I think they did a good job. All in all, Katya clearly was funnier, but I thought they did a pretty good job. One thing I loved was at the very end, they shaded Violet. They were like, and we have Violet. And they were just like, And then it's like, it cuts to Violet just laughing really hard. And Violet's laugh is adorable. She's just like, so, ha! It's really cute. And so I thought that was really, really funny. Next was Kennedy and Jaden. And I thought they were really, really funny. Together, I thought they were an unstoppable, unstoppable, I can't speak at all. Unstoppable duo. That's what I wanted to say. They were an unstoppable duo. I had to work on that. But I just didn't like Jaden's dress. It looked like a whole bunch of tissue paper that was dyed in throw up. It was gross, and she shouldn't wear that again. She should be ashamed of herself. I may need to record this again because I'm not really. I'm just flubbing everything. I'm Mrs. Kasha Davis. Anyway, moving on. But I really liked them, and they presented the award for Sexy Sexy Drag Queen. The winner was Miss Fame, and I thought that her acceptance speech was hilarious. She thanked the tapeworm that snatched that. I cannot speak. She thanked the tapeworm that snatched her body. I thought that was really cute. And I just thought she was really funny. And I think the producers had wrote her acceptance speech. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. The next people to come up were Max and Pearl. Both of them looked gorgeous. I loved Max's lip. She had a really nice, pronounced lip. And she had a cute dress on. And then Pearl, she went all out. She had a Marilyn Monroe theme going with the hair and the dress. And her contour boobs, though. I'm getting sick of them. I guess that's the thing to do. In the first, few episodes, I was impressed. But now I'm just okay, I'm done with the boobs. Let's do something else. But what can you do? Anyway, but they were pretty funny. I thought they did a good job. Pearl, she stepped out of a shell so that she can win the challenge, whatever. They had the most busted. That was their award. And of course, all the fat girls were nominated for most busted, which I don't appreciate at all. And the person that won was Jaden, which I was like, aw. Jaden's acceptance speech was okay. It was okay. It wasn't anything to gag over, but, it got the job done. The next people up were Ginger Minj and Candy Ho, and you can tell that Ginger Minj had wrote what they were going to say, and she had used Candy to set up all of her punchlines. So Candy would say something, and then Ginger would have the funny lines, which, okay, it was cute, and it worked out really well, but clearly Candy had no opportunity to be the funny one, and it is Candy's fault because she should have interjected and said, hey, I need to switch some words so that I can also have the shine. But I think she may have not been comfortable with doing that because Ginger is known as being a funny lady. She probably put all her trust in Ginger because she thought that they would both come out on top by just using Ginger's material. And as you can see, that was a big mistake because of what happens in the future. But Ginger Minj, she just took advantage of the situation and made the best of it for herself. But they had the award for the most shadiest, and clearly Violet won, and her acceptance speech was hilarious also. She was like, you don't like me, you all really don't like me. I thought that was funny. But once again, I really do feel like the producers probably wrote that. Maybe. And if she wrote it herself, good for her. Yeah, good for her. Okay. But anyway, the next people up were Miss Fame and Violet Chachki, and they were cute. It wasn't anything that I could remember. They both looked really pretty. I will say that. Very gorgeous, but they were funny. I mean, like I said before, they got the job done. And they had to present Meatiest Tuck. And the person that won Meatiest Tuck was Katya. So I don't know how she won it, but whatever. But she got on stage, and I loved her acceptance speech. She was hilarious. She was like, what did she say? The key to a swollen vagina is courage. What is that? I love Katya. She's a mess. And I appreciate that acceptance speech. But after all of them had went, we find out immediately that Max and Pearl win the challenge. I feel like Max won because she's patient and kind, and Pearl won because RuPaul felt sorry for the way that she acted a few days ago to Pearl. And so she made it up by giving her the win. That's just my opinion, and I'm not happy that Pearl won because I don't know. I don't see it for Pearl. That's why. She probably did do a good job, but I am blinded by my dislike for her indifference in this competition. But anyway, they are safe, and on top of that, Kennedy Davenport and Jaden are safe too, which I thought they did a good job and they should have been safe. So yay for them. And so when it came to the critiques, they were pretty standard. The one thing that I thought was hilarious is RuPaul. You can tell that he was trying to understand where Violet was coming from, because he was like, okay, you got shadiest queen. How'd you feel about that? She was like, well, yeah, sure, I am the shadiest. And he was like, but you're probably one of those people that stay at home and who are just looking at fashion magazines all day. And then Violet was like, yeah, but this thing called the internet is here, RuPaul. I was like, oh my gosh, the shade towards RuPaul is strong this season. I can't. But for the most part, I know a lot of people don't like Violet, but I have decided that I really like Violet because, yeah, she does have a nasty attitude, but there's a big but. But when it comes to the stage, when it comes to the challenges, when it comes to her outfits, she is just pristine. She's really good. And you really can't clock her on a lot. So, for now, I like her. I think I would not like her if she decides to come for Max. That's the only reason why I will sever my ties with Violet. Otherwise, I'm not mad at her. She can do her thing. Yeah, that's how I feel. So, Violet is one of my favorites now. Just wanted to put that in the books. So, anyway, when it comes to the bottom two, it is Mrs. Kasha Davis and Candy Ho. Mrs. Kasha Davis is in the bottom two because she flubbed her lines. Candy Ho was in the bottom two because she was just setting up the punchlines for Ginger Minge and she wasn't funny herself. As for the bottom two, I guess I agree with it. I don't know who else could have been in the bottom two. So, okay, that works for me. When it came to this lip sync, I felt like this lip sync was a lot better than the other lip syncs, other lip syncs that I have seen in the past. For this season, they did Tina Marie, and at first I thought that Mrs. Kasha Davis was going to take it because she picked up her dress, was showing her slit and showing her leg and really dancing. She literally looked like a real housewife or something. She really did at that point, that just had a little too much to drink. And I was like, okay, Kasha is gonna take this. This is her gig. But Candy Ho, oh, she did that. She started off slow. Her lip sync was on point and pristine. And then when it got to like the arc of the song, she broke into full emotion and she just started just going. And then there was a time that Mrs. Kasha Davis didn't know the lines, and so she did a lot of, and that didn't work out for her because Candy Ho knew her lines and she was on point. And so clearly Candy Ho won that lip sync. Like I said before, I enjoyed this lip sync a lot more than I did of the other ones in the past. And I've come to the conclusion it's because Candy Ho was in it. I think she's a really good lip syncer and I enjoy her performances. And the other people that have performed so far, I haven't really enjoyed their lip syncs, unfortunately. So hopefully the lip syncs get better. Hopefully. I'm sad that Mrs. Kasha Davis is eliminated, but I'm not too sad. Like, I'm not like, oh, it wasn't like Trixie last week. But at the same time, I'm sad because I feel like the older queens are not given as much as much of a chance as the younger ones. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on this season. Like, it seems like an anti-aging season this year. Either way, she's gone. Bye, lady. You were fun to watch, but now you have to go home. Now, I don't want to talk too much about Untucked, but there are some points that I wanted to talk about. I thought that was really interesting that when they got to the back, that Mrs. Kasha Davis made it a point to try and blame Katya for the reason why she performed so poorly. She claimed that Katya had written all the material, and some of the material was not written for Mrs. Kasha Davis, so it didn't sound right. And I was like, well, that's your problem, lady. You should have written your own material, and then that problem wouldn't have been an issue. Like, I think the demise of Mrs. Kasha Davis and Candy Ho was the fact that they decided to let other people write the material for them when it's their job to make sure they are the best that they can be. So, boo-hoo you, girl. That was not an excuse to make, that's for sure. The other thing I thought was hilarious and Untucked was the fact that Ginger Minj tried to claim that her dress cost her $5,000. Ginger girl, really? Everybody was like, really? Are you sure? And then you see Max throw some buku shade, and Max is like, if I didn't know any better, I thought she would have picked that off the discount rack in Cachet. Ooh, oh, my phone is ringing. I'm too lazy to go reach it. Yeah. I'm gonna let it ring, and I will answer it later. But what happens next? So, the last thing of Untucked that I thought was just like, was when Ginger Minj's husband comes on screen and has a message for Ginger Minj. And it was just so nice to see because, like, you can tell that Ginger Minj really misses her husband. And she just starts crying and everyone's breaking down. And she's talking about how she hasn't had a best life. But her happiness is all because of that man. And that she never felt attractive until he came along. And it was just so nice to see because I can feel where she's coming from because as an overweight girl, you know, you don't get much love from the boys. And so to find someone that appreciates you for you is beautiful. And I'm glad that she was able to find that love and that we could see it on the screen. One thing that I thought was weird and at the same time a little adorable was the fact that Miss Fame, she kind of just like freaked out and started crying and wailing. And she was like, I don't know why I'm so upset. And so I thought that was sweet. And I thought it was a good bonding ceremony for the girls. So it was a nice way to end up Untucked. So that is my review for this week. I talked way too long. Let's see. Ooh, 33 minutes. That's a lot. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you guys are doing everything you need in order to have a happy, successful, and healthy life. And happy Easter. And I will talk to you later. Bye.